For every struggle in your life, there is a strategy. They didn't get it either. I'm gonna try y'all. For every struggle in your life, there is a strategy. They got it.
When it comes to things that really matter in life, I think all of us know that better is a perspective. You know why you think some people's lives are better than yours? Because you see the part that they show you. They might have a better house, but I wonder what goes on inside. And see, you don't know which one's better. If you live long enough, you will find out that some of the people you spent so much of your time envying were secretly miserable.
There is something in you that will deliver you, but in order to produce it, you have to go through the dark place. Because what God has for you is too big for you to be small. What God has predestined for you is too big for you to be petty. It's too big for you to hold a grudge.
Every season of our life is part of the whole, and it should be embraced, even the painful season. The more we resist, the more it's going to hurt, and the longer it's going to take.
You will grow through what you go through. You will grow through what you go through.
What has your name on it will not go to anyone else. What belongs to you will not go to another person. God has somebody ordained for you. You won't have to beg them to stay, talk them into calling you, convince them to spending time. They'll be so in love with you, you can't get rid of them. Stay in that weight room. Be patient.
We got to go backwards to get better. We got to go all the way back to get better. I have to be comfortable in my life to accept that sometimes loss is the way to gain. To know that sometimes the most painful moments are the most purposeful moments. I have to be comfortable in my life to stop comparing myself so much with people who are not meant to be the standard anyway.
Now, I don't know what you're facing today, but I know this everybody in this room is facing something. If it ain't nothing but life. If you don't have nothing to fight but life, if everybody likes you and you're just as beautiful as you can be and as healthy as an Olympian, if you deal with nothing but life, life will try you to the breaking point.
No matter what comes against us, we will make it through. It doesn't mean it's going to be easy. That doesn't mean there's going to be no pain involved. But truly, we can do all things. Yes, you can make it through whatever you're going through right now. You can get so strong in spirit that you can be going through really, really difficult things, and while you are, you're still reaching out and helping other people, and they don't even know what you're going through.
I'm not in this by myself. I'm not in this thing by myself. You are not alone in the battle. You're not alone in the struggle. That God has a strategy, and when it's all over, you're going to see that even though you couldn't see him, he was there all the time.
On the outside, people don't look broken. You don't see bruises, and you don't see scratches, and you don't see scrapes, and people don't walk around in a big cast, and so you can't tell with the naked eye. The problem is that there's a malfunction on the inside. So many times, depression, what it feels like is this, that I'm so afraid to share what's going on the inside because I'm afraid it might destroy you. So what I do is I bury it on the inside of myself only to destroy myself.
No matter how hard someone tries to get what's yours, they may manipulate, connive, ignore, leave you out. The oil is not going to flow to them. What has your name on it is coming your way. The person, the job, the opportunity, the promotion cannot go to anyone else. That's why we don't have to live jealous or envious of other people.
People around you change. Sometimes it's for the better, but sometimes it's not. And it's not bad. It's just that season was over in my life. And so here's the thing. If we try to keep hanging on to something when God is finished with it, there's no point in continuing to try to hang on to something that God's done with, because all it's going to do is keep you from the next great thing that God has for you. I feel real strongly tonight to tell you guys spring is right around the corner. Don't give up and don't be afraid of change, and don't keep trying to hang on to something that's just not working anymore. Trust God for something better.
You know what? Some of us are so used to bad that we reject better when it comes.
Sometimes God proves his love to us by what he's not letting us have. Doesn't mean that it's never going to happen. We just have to spend more time in the weight room, growing, developing, learning to forgive, learning to keep a good attitude when things aren't going our way. The sooner we pass these tests, the sooner God will release what belongs to us.
When something is just beginning to bud, there is also trouble rising up right beside it. When the wheat came up, the tear came up with it. Not because the wheat wasn't real, but because it was. It came up at the same time. Life is crazy. It can be the best time in your life and the worst time all at the same time.
You can either stand up and take that small step forward. You don't have to know where you're going. You don't have to have the perfect plan. You don't have to know what tomorrow holds. But you can either get up and take that small step, or you're going to sit at that kitchen counter for the rest of your life. And now, years later, I pushed through those hard times, and I realized, and I truly believe in now, that the smallest of steps eventually completes the grandest of journeys.
You can have what other people can't have. You can go where other people can't go. You can ask what other people can't ask for, because you are not a whosoever. Quit acting like a whosoever. Quit asking like a whosoever. Quit asking like you don't have a right to go in boldly and ask. You are a chosen generation. You are a peculiar people. Say, I'm not a whosoever.
Our problems do not overshadow our purpose. Our weaknesses do not discount our work, and our deficiencies definitely do not delay our destiny. We have to learn how to work our weakness. You gotta work your weakness, because all of us to some degree have a thorn in our flesh. We all have gaps, we all have deficiency, we've all made mistakes, we've all got these things that feel like a thorn in our flesh.
The thing that you are up against right now is not about you. The battle is not yours. It belongs to God. That doesn't mean that you don't have to show up for the fight. It just means that ultimately the victory that you seek is not your victory. It is the victory because God has a purpose in you getting the victory over this situation. It is not you that's getting the victory. It is God that's getting the victory. God is using you to get his victory. And as soon as you get that straight, you can get down to business.
If you wish to be successful, study success. If you wish to be happy, study happiness. Happiness is not an accident. It is first a study and then a practice. You would naturally assume that most people would make a careful study of them. Why they do not is yet another example of those aspects of life that fall into the category of mysteries of the mind. Remember, major keys to your better future are going to be ideas and information.
Open people like to live on the periphery of boundaries, and they like to break boundaries between things because interesting things happen when you think a different way, when you think outside of the box, so to speak. That's what open people do. They always think outside of the box, no matter what box you put them in. You know, and sometimes you meet people that are so open that they're completely disorganized. Their thought process is almost completely associational, like a dreamer. They just jump from one thing to another, and they're very interesting to talk to. It's very hard for those people to get their lives together because they're interested in absolutely everything, and their attention just flips all over the place.
If we have any lack, it is not because we lack money or opportunity or resources. It is because we lack ideas that have taken form from information. If you search, you will find. So that is the way to discover ideas and life-changing information. Search. In order to find, you must search. You must go and engage in conversations with people of substance. You must go looking, go searching. Rarely does a good idea interrupt you. And as you make a diligent search, you will find just the ideas you need.
Everybody's been through some shit in their childhood. Alcohol and drug abuse, family members, grandmother, family dying, and it all sets you back. It's a setback for a setup to get to the ultimate blessings.
It's not about clearing out your closet. It's about the transformation of your mind.
Do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your minds.
Do you have a mind to change? Do you have the mindset to be blessed? You have to decide to be blessed. You got till midnight to get rid of every poison that's hindering you, every inflexibility that's stopping you from what God is about to pour into your life. Woe be unto you if you go into another year and waste another year with the old mentality while somebody's in the hospital begging God for the opportunity that you have right now. You better step into this moment. As soon as you decide to stop looking for answers in other people and click the heels of your mind and set your affections on things that are above, you could have been free years ago.
When God shows us something, we compare it to our previous point of reference. And then we start consulting our resources, and God wants to bring us new relationships. But watch this. If you're not ready for new people in your life, you will bring the same patterns to the new relationships that you brought to the old relationships. And we literally keep people out of our lives that God wants to send because we are holding on to the hurts from the one who have already left.
Do not be conformed to the patterns of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Transformation doesn't come because you show up here for an hour and 20 minutes. You'll be transformed by the renewing of your mind. But this word renewing is the same word as renovating. How many of you know you can't renovate a house in an hour and 15 minutes? If you're going to renovate a house, you got to kick some walls down. You got to pull some tiles up. You got to get into the mess of it. And that's what we got to do in our brain.
A whole set of circumstances can bend you over. What your daddy did to you, what your mama didn't do for you, can bend you over and keep you an emotional cripple for a long time. There's some people here who still spinning from things that's happened years ago, and you can't shake it. It's got you crippled and you can't straighten up. Every time you straighten up, you can only go so far. Because it's not only a problem of health, it's a problem of habit. You're used to being bent over. Because you can be bent over so long, you don't even know how to straighten up. And things aren't straightening out. They aren't getting better. You remain crippled in your situation.
Sometimes you got to talk to yourself. Sometimes you got to say to yourself, now you know better than that. Sometimes you got to talk to yourself. When you see somebody you don't like, or somebody who gets on your nerves, you got to talk to yourself. You got to talk yourself into some stuff. And then you got to talk yourself. You got to tell yourself, don't do it. Don't go that way. Danger, dangerous intersection. You have to be able to talk yourself out of some stuff, because a whole lot of stuff I would not have gotten into had I talked to myself.
So tired of fighting the enemy all day, you don't hardly know what to do. But I can tell you, if you stand your ground, it gets better and better and better. You know, although my mind still gets attacked, there's always things that the enemy's suggesting to my mind. But after all these years now in practice, I recognize them really quickly, and it's not that difficult at all to just say, nope, I'm not going there. I've been there, I've done that, I know what it produces, and I'm not going to think like that.
We've got a chance to grow like never before, but I'm telling you, there's going to be many enemies that's going to try to prevent us. Whatever threatens you, I'm asking you to threaten it back. Take care of your responsibility. Somebody wants to destroy your chances for a good future by their negative talk, negative thinking, putting it all down. I'm telling you, walk away if you have to. Walk away. Whatever threatens you, threaten it back. Whatever threatens your opportunity, threaten it back. Now, some of our enemies are on the outside, but here's the most important thing to understand. Some of our enemies are on the inside. You got to do battle with your own indifference. And you've got to learn not only to nourish your values, you've got to learn to do battle with your enemies.
See, many times when you make a commitment to do something, there are some other variables that will happen that you can't control or you perhaps did not think about. So you want to have some other plans going on. You want to become creative. See, most people don't keep their commitments because when something goes wrong, they just stop. They don't have a contingency plan. I don't know what to do. You do know what to do. You got genius in you. Challenge yourself. Push yourself. Make yourself come up with something. Use your imagination. And what you will find is that you know more than you realize that you know. That you're more creative and more resourceful than you realize that you are. First is going to be a struggle. And after you get into a certain level of consciousness, you will ask yourself, how is it that I didn't see this before?
You have to decide that you're going to be in control and that you are going to do what you want to do. You are the machine, and you can control the machine. Weakness doesn't get a vote. Sadness, no vote. Frustration, no vote. I don't even give my temper a vote.
You have to learn how to shut your mind against strifeful thoughts. And as soon as they come, you need to say, this is going nowhere. I've been there, done that, and I'm going to change my mind, get in agreement with God, and let God take care of the situation.
The next time that you're feeling weak or you're feeling lazy or you're feeling emotional, tell them you are declaring martial law on your mind. You're declaring mind control, and impose what you want on your brain and use that mind control to move your life where you want it to be.
People can change their standard by getting around where it's better. People can change their standard by getting associated what's true, like the bills they gotta solve, the problems they gotta do it. Or they can do it because they're excited, because it's something new they wanna take on. Everyone's different, but they gotta find the why, and they gotta come up with some daily rituals to get them going, and just do a step at a time. That's where you get momentum.
I'm asking you to have some faith, have some courage, believe, drive your doubts into a small corner. Don't let them loose like a mad dog, drive you into a small corner. Don't doubt the future, don't doubt the possibilities, and here's the most important one of all, don't doubt yourself. If I've got miracle working power to change my life, so do you. If I can grow, you can grow. I'm asking you, don't sell yourself short.
When you're absolutely certain that if I do this, it's going to get that result, and that result's going to change my life, you'll do it. When you think it absolutely is not going to work, you're never going to do it. The middle no man's land of maybe it'll work, maybe it won't, that's the piece that kills people. If it's a must for you, you got to make it work.
But I wonder, have you taken the time to think about, why am I doing this in the first place? Am I trying to prove something to someone who disrespected me 10 years ago, who isn't even paying attention to my life anymore? Why am I posting this? To impress people who follow me on social media that don't even really know me? What is my reason for doing what I'm doing?
At the start of the day, you need to set your mind for victory. Don't let just any thoughts play. You have to think thoughts on purpose. If you wake up and just think whatever comes to mind, thoughts will tell you, you have too many problems. You're too tired. Nothing good is going to happen today. If you don't set the tone for the day, negative thoughts will set them for you. Before you check the phone, before you see what the weather is like, you need to think on purpose, power thoughts, victory thoughts, can-do thoughts.
Whatever you're up against, whatever you're going through, this is only a test. All of us this morning are either coming out of a test, headed towards a test, or we're being tested right now. But the good news is, it's only a test.
The progress is in the process. And if you don't do it, he can't bless it. You got to throw everything. The misnomer is you have grossly underestimated what it takes to succeed. Want to be a doctor? Work that thing.
Time is short. What is your life? It's even a vapor that appeareth for a little time and then vanisheth away.
The saddest thing I have ever seen is a wasted opportunity. I've seen people misunderstand the opportunity, pollute it with arrogance or self-aggrandizement, and lose the opportunity.
You may not understand why it's taken so long, why it hasn't turned out the way you thought, why you're in a lonely season, but everything you've been through was to strengthen you, to develop you, to prepare you. God wouldn't have allowed it if it wasn't part of the process. Without it, you couldn't give birth to what's in you. Keep passing the test. Keep doing the right thing, then your time is coming. Your baby is on the way. What God promised, He will bring to pass.
Listen to me. You have been given an opportunity. You have been given an opportunity of a lifetime. And if you think you're going to blow up, if you think you're going to get to the next level by luck, you got another thing coming.
You're not going to go through life and get everything you want all the time. And you need to learn to be happy anyway. You need to trust God. If that's what God wants you to get, then He'll get it to you. And if it's not coming to you right now, then just be a happy camper anyway.
Opportunity comes in chaos. A chance to stand up. A chance to get it right. A chance to make a U-turn. It may not be for everybody. It is how you perceive the chaos, whether you determine it to be opposition or opportunity.
The process, the little steps that make a mile, it is not the destination. It is the things you learn along the way. It is the people who beguiled you and tricked you that make you wiser. Wisdom is made out of the stupid things you did before you got it. Don't miss it. That process is invaluable to you getting there. Does that mean that you have to be my age before you get there? Absolutely not. But it does mean that you don't go from thinking a thought to producing an idea without pain. The gestation period is critical. Gestation creates formation.
By not being prepared, you make the choice of getting caught in some of life's unpleasant circumstances. Failures, personal losses. By not being prepared, it's your choice. Now here's the other side of it. By being prepared, you increase your chances of success. Some people tend to blame others for their mistakes. Concentrate on the work at hand and demand of yourself the discipline to stay focused. If you have a long list of things to get done within a day, do the toughest ones while your concentration is at its peak. Learn your body's rhythms and do the jobs that need the most concentration when you're able to do them best. Use your discipline to keep your mind in line. When you recognize the need to concentrate more, when you recognize this need, it will come easier and easier. Focused concentration can become a habit. Make your mind pay attention. Discipline yourself to be where you are. Work at work and play at play. Don't mix the two.
I know people do things that hurt you. Everything is not fair and everything is not just and everything's not right. Sometimes you've done the very best and you don't get selected and you don't get the opportunity and you haven't gotten recognized. You cannot afford to get bitter, because if you get bitter, you will never get better. You got to get that out of you. If you got to cough it up, if you got to throw it up, if you got to pray it up, you got to get it out of you. There's a curse on it. There's a curse. You got to get it out. 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 He left you. He cheated on you, but get it out. Get it out of you. Get it out of you. So you go ahead.
When you look at over 33 million people have lost their job, this is unprecedented. There's trauma that's going on all across the country. It affects all of us. There are things that we can do and things that we must do to pick ourselves up. Success is not final, and failure is not fatal. We all have the challenge to search deep within ourselves to find our inner hunger, which is our power.
That's the character test. It's like, what do you do with messages of error? And that's a tricky issue. Okay, so here's a solution to that. Here's what not to do. I am a bad person. I got to see myself. I'm a bad person. I might as well just go jump off the bridge. It's like, no, that's not good, because what that means is that every time you try to learn something, you're going to make a mistake, because what do you know? So you're going to make mistakes. And if the rule is every time you make a mistake, you're going to go jump off the bridge, then that's not a useful problem-solving strategy. And so when you make a mistake, you don't get to beat yourself to death with a club. It's a bad strategy, and you'll have your internal tyrant in there who's perfectly happy about doing that. That's the overactive superego that Freud talked about. Maybe it came to you via a parent who was too authoritarian, or a grandparent, or maybe it's just you because you're disagreeable and neurotic or hyper-conscientious. You'll take yourself apart. Then the question is, well, what does that mean? Well, maybe you're not looking at the world right. Maybe your goals are wrong. Maybe you're not acting properly. If you take yourself and you put yourself in a new environment, new genes turn on in your nervous system. They encode for new proteins. You're full of biological potential that won't be realized unless you move yourself around in the world into different challenging circumstances, and that'll turn on different circuits. It's that by exposing yourself to different environments, you put different physiological demands on yourself all the way down to the genetic level, and that manifests new elements of you. Because you take yourself out of your dopey little village, and that's just the little bounded you that everyone knows and that isn't very expanded. And then you go somewhere dark and dangerous, and while you do that, you have adventures, and they toughen you and pull more out of you, partly because you're becoming informed.
Now, my approach to my better future very early on in my career was to just go through the day with my fingers crossed. I sure hope things will change for the better. Then here's what I found out. They're not going to change. When you change, when you get better, it'll get better. Don't put it on someone else. Hope that someone else will change it for you. Take responsibility for yourself. You can't change the circumstances or the seasons or the wind. You can change whether or not you go for the skills, multiply your value by 2, 3, 5, 10. That you've got charge of. That you have control of. You don't have control of the constellations. Learn some new skills. You have control over that. And if you don't, that's your fault. You've got to take personal responsibility. You've got to be self-reliant. Nobody else can change your life, alter your ambitions, pave a golden road for you. It's up to you. Be responsible for yourself. Learn to reap the harvest without complaint. Take full responsibility for everything you do. Be responsible to yourself. It's your crop.
And so if your life isn't everything it could be, you could ask yourself, well, what would happen if you just stopped wasting the opportunities that are in front of you? You'd be who knows how much more efficient. 10 times more efficient. If people stopped really trying just to make things worse, we have no idea how much better they would get just because of that. So there's this weird dynamic that's part of the existential system of ideas between human vulnerability, both of which are major causes of suffering, and the failure of individuals to adopt the responsibility that they know they should adopt. People have a conscience. It's this feeling or voice you have in your head just before you do something that you know is stupid, telling you that probably you shouldn't do that stupid thing, but you go ahead and do it anyways, and then, of course, exactly what the conscience told you was going to happen inevitably happens, so that you feel even stupider about it than you would if it happened by accident. I knew this was going to happen, and I went and did it anyways. And the funny thing, too, is that conscience operates within people, and we really don't understand what the hell that is.